Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I'd like to welcome you to this NBA podcast of 6 games here on Sunday, May the 9th. Happy Mother's Day to my mom over there in my old stomping grounds in Western PA, and to all the moms out there that are listeners. Happy Mother's Day to you. Special Mother's Day shout out to Deb and all of our other moms that are part of the Coach Talk family. So big thank you for being part of what we're doing, and I hope you have a tremendous day, and I hope we can line up a bunch of winners for you to celebrate in the right way in the DFS winning mode for sure. So hope everyone has a great one. We're going to work on the 6-game NBA Main Slate that is all this evening. It's at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, and we'll go through game by game like we normally do. But what I want to do is start out with one quick thing here, because I think it's very important that, we've got the final week of the NBA regular season. How crazy is that? It's already here. So starting tomorrow, it will go through until next Sunday, and then we'll be jumping into the playoffs after that. So what I'd like to take a look at real quickly here, because it's going to be important today and throughout this entire final week of the NBA, and that's the standings and who's looking to really play for something this week, who's already packed it in, who's in between, because that's going to make a big difference. We know that it gets crazy, especially close to lock time with all of the scratches and people sitting, and it gets nuts. But let's get a little edge on it on the front end, so that we can remember as we work on these building these lineups each day. So in the East, we already have Philly with a 3-game lead, so they should be solid. Brooklyn is second, Milwaukee's third. The only thing that can flip-flop is second and third. I don't think either one of those teams really cares one way or the other. So those 3 teams are locked in. Expect them to rest some guys. Where it gets a little sticky here is the Knicks are 4th, and they're a half a game ahead of Atlanta, who's a half a game ahead of the Heat. So they're all jockeying for position because they want to stay out of that play-in tournament. So being in the top 6 is now the most important thing. But the Heat are not, none of those teams are locked into those spots, because right behind them at 7th is Boston, 1 game behind. So, Knicks, Atlanta, Miami, Boston are going to be playing for something, no doubt about it. As far as the other 3 teams, they're pretty much locked in. The Hornets, Wizards, and Pacers, they're going to be 8th, 9th, and 10th, it looks like. The Bulls have dropped a little bit too far behind. They'd have to win out and have a couple of these teams go winless. So, I'm not convinced that Charlotte, the Wizards, and Pacers are really going to be dialing it up, because they're going to be in that play-in game. Yes, you want to be a higher seed in that, but it should be a little bit more of a known fact that they're going to get in. So I don't think they'll push their guys. And then, of course, the teams that have been eliminated, if you will, not officially, but the Bulls and Raptors, and then the ones that have officially been, is the Magic, Cavaliers, and Pistons. So God only knows with those teams who they're going to roll out there, and we know it gets very crazy. In the West, it's a little bit different. We have Utah and Phoenix grappling for that number 1 seed, and that definitely carries some importance to it. Phoenix is currently a game and a half behind Utah, but certainly that can change this week. The Clippers are in pretty good shape in 3rd. Denver is in pretty good shape in 4th. So we're not expecting a lot of movement there. Where it gets a little bit difficult, the Mavericks are 5th, and they are a half a game ahead of Portland and 2 games ahead of the Lakers. And as we all know, everybody wants to avoid that play-in. So the Mavericks need to win a game or 2 to clinch not having to play in that play-in tournament. And I think once they do that, they'll definitely rest some players towards the end of the week. Portland, on the other hand, they're right on that bumper with the Lakers trying to knock them back into the playoff tournament. So I think Portland's going to be playing hard. The Lakers are, of course, going to try to win some games and catch Portland to get out of the play-in tournament. So even though they're all banged up and guys sitting, I think they're going to give a strong effort. 8, 9, 10 is similar to the East. We have the Warriors, Grizzlies, and Spurs. They're all looking pretty solid. The only two teams with a very, very outside chance to catch the Spurs, they're not going to catch the Grizz. Lakers, Warriors, and Grizz are in that play-in tournament unless Portland bumps the Lakers up and Portland down. But, the teams that have an outside chance, like I say, are the New Orleans Pelicans, who are 2 games behind the last spot, which is the Spurs, and the Sacramento Kings that are 3 games behind. So going to be a very, very tough chore for them to catch anybody, especially the Pelicans with all their guys out. And Sacramento doesn't carry the tiebreaker against the Spurs either. So it's, I would say you got to watch these Warriors, Grizzlies, Spurs teams, because the Pelicans and Kings, if they make a move at them, they're going to have to play guys down the stretch to clinch their spot. But if it opens up by another game or two, they are also rest candidates down the stretch. And then, the crazy wild card teams that have been eliminated are the Thunder, Timberwolves, and Rockets. And we know that, that's going to be an interesting week for those guys as they basically sit the majority of their rosters here. So just wanted to give a little insight to that, because that definitely makes a difference. This final week of the season, there's a lot of money to be made. It's not easy by any stretch. It is not an easy situation because there's so many moving parts to it. But if you're looking at who's going to sit guys and who's going to play guys, who needs to win and who doesn't, hopefully that gives you a little heads up as we dive into these games. So first of all, I'd like to thank our presenting sponsor, BetUS.com.pa. You can go there and sign up with the promo code CoachTalk, all one word, no space, and you will get if you sign up with them for the first time and deposit up to $149, you get a free 1-month membership with Coach Talk. That's one thing. And use the Coach Talk promo. They'll give you upgraded bonus when you sign up, all the way up to 100% of your first deposit. So good folks there. Also, Super Draft and Monkey Knife Fight, also sponsors of DFS Coach Talk. All right, let's get into these 6 main slate games. The first one is the Dallas Mavericks and the Cleveland Cavaliers. We have, it's a 7 p.m. game. Dallas is favored by 10.5, over under 216. It is the first night of a back-to-back for Cleveland, island game for the Mavs. As far as pace, definite concern here, 24th and 25th respectively. Defense, not good though, so it gives you some opportunities here. Dallas is 17th, Cleveland 27th. What we know of now, which is in the morning, so we'll keep track of this throughout the day, and of course the last 30 minutes before lock when it gets haywire. Kleba is questionable for the Mavericks. Porzingis, Kristaps Porzingis is out again today. For Cleveland, Love is questionable and Garland is out, which is definitely a big blow for Cleveland. All right, I know Dallas wants to get after this one. They crushed Cleveland just the day before yesterday, so they're now going to get to play them back-to-back, this time in Cleveland. But they did handle them easily. Cleveland certainly playing out the string. I expect Dallas to go after it. They want to get their situation and their spot clinched as soon as possible so that they can get some rest for the guys this final week of the season. Luka in a game like this that's that slow where it has the good possibility of blowout, is just not the best pay up option for me. You've got the Mavs are 39-28, and their projected lineup is Luka, Richardson, Hardaway, Finney-Smith, and Cauley-Stein, but they've been flipping Cauley-Stein and Powell back and forth, so that's sort of tough to feel good about. The guy that's been on the upswing for Dallas, and he's a good value play, is Finney-Smith. He gets big minutes. He's been playing much more confidently in the last month, really, and he becomes now a possible secondary type value play for me in this game. We know Hardaway, when he gets hot, and he's been hot lately, he's a streak shooter. He can fill up the score sheet with points. Not going to break the slate with, the ancillary stats, but still, an option. Not comfortable going Jay Rich, Jalen Brunson, Burke. Those guys are all going to split minutes up. And Jay Rich hasn't been finishing games. They've actually been going more so with Brunson or even the rookie Josh Smith. So all that to be said, really, to me, if you spend up for Luka, how can you ever complain about that? I'm not going to on this particular slate today. The value play on the Dallas side to me is possibly Finney-Smith or Hardaway. On the Cleveland side, Colin Sexton is always a really good option because he is ball dominant. They're letting him play decent minutes. He takes a lot of shots, and like I say, with Richardson and Brunson sort of splitting duty on him defensively, it's not the perfect scenario, and the pace is slow, and Sexton's price is high, but he is a guy that can fill up the whole score sheet. I mean, he's going to score a lot of points. He gets a nice amount of assists. He'll grab you some steals. So he's an option for me in this game. If it blows out, he'll get some extra minutes, but he's not completely blowout proof. So little bit of a concern there. Not crazy about this first game, but he is really the only option that I think is a strong option. Now, I went with Jared Allen the other day because the Mavericks have so much trouble against bigs, and he was very blasé. Allen, I don't know what it is. Everybody's so high on him, and he'll throw in a 50 or 60 point fantasy game once in a while, but generally he just gets bounced around. He's not great defensively. I mean, he'll get you a few blocks because he's so long, but he's just okay. I'm definitely not a big Jared Allen fan. I'm still considering him for this because he had okay numbers, not great in the last game against Dallas, but if the ball bounces his way and they give him just a little bit extra run, if it stays close, then there's a possibility. It's just I'm not confident in that play. It might be the GPP center that I use, but not sure I can completely trust him in cash because they are playing a lot of guys. They'll bring Dean Wade and all that gang in off the bench, so a little shaky there. Cleveland, by the way, is 21-46, and their proposed lineup is Sexton, Okoro, Osman, Love, who's questionable, so we don't know about that, and then Allen. All right, let's go on to game 2. This game is exciting to me. I am fired up for this game. It's the Minnesota Timberwolves at 20-47 against the Orlando Magic at 21-46. And you say, Coach, have you lost your mind? Why are you fired up for this game? These two teams are horrible. Well, they're not DFS horrible. This is a really good DFS game. In fact, it's my favorite on the slate. It's you've got perfect situation here. Minnesota is favored by 6.5, not that much, but a road favorite for Minnesota is a little odd. So it's, pretty close one. Island game for both teams. Love that. 229 total, biggest on the board. And then you've got the 4th and 19th fastest teams. Minnesota pushes the ball. Orlando's pushing the ball more now that they've been playing Cole Anthony and RJ Hampton. So their pace is even better. And then you got to love this, 28th and 25th defensively. So, there's going to be points scored, a lot of big dunks probably from Anthony Edwards and guys like that. And then, as far as who's out from Minnesota, McDaniels is out. So Vanderbilt's getting the start. Hernan Gomez gets some minutes off the bench for him. Beasley remains out. So their projected lineup is Rubio, Russell, Edwards, Vanderbilt, and Towns. And, Orlando, now with Carter with a questionable tag, they'll probably go back to Bamba. He's long and he can bother Towns, but he can't get out there to guard him at the 3-point line. So Cat's in play at a big price, but he could, this could be a 4 or 5 3-point made field goal game for him, along with the other stats that he'll put in there. D'Angelo Russell, he was ejected from the last game, so you think he's going to come back with a little bit more focus. He has been playing well now that he's back with somewhat of a minutes cap now removed. So D'Angelo's in play. Anthony Edwards has been great. He's trying for a late push for a long shot rookie of the year. I think, LaMelo still has that edge, but Edwards isn't out of it. I think he wants to finish strong. So a lot of opportunities for the Minnesota side. I like Russell, Edwards, and Towns specifically. And Vanderbilt as a value play is not a bad play. When he's in there, he's been doing well, and he had been really relegated mostly to the bench, especially in crunch time with McDaniels starting. But now that McDaniels is benched because of injury, Vanderbilt's got a chance. On the Orlando side, this is very interesting as well because you've got a probable line of Anthony Harris, Bacon, Wagner, and Carter. However, Carter's questionable. We know that MCW, Okeke, Ennis, Porter, and Ross are all still out. And on the other side of the ball, you've got, like I said, Beasley and McDaniels out. So a lot of guys still out for Orlando. What we've seen is a couple of guys that I want to mention that are all considering, I'm considering playing today. I think Cole Anthony's playing well, and he's getting extra run. They're trying to get the younger guys extra run. RJ Hampton's starting to turn into a really good basketball player. I think he's going to be a starter next year. They're going to get him extra minutes. Mo Wagner's gotten decent run. He's been starting at the 4 and then backing up Bamba at the 5 if Carter's out. So Wagner is a possibility. And then Bamba, he's had a couple of 50 burgers as a starter. So, the key factor there is if Carter plays, that really takes probably Wagner and Bamba out of my pool. If Carter sits, they both have the opportunity to make my lineup. And then one other guy I want to mention, Brzezigis, he's been getting 30 minutes a game off the bench. Iggy is a guy that, we were high on when we saw him in the Summer League a couple years back. He was on the Knicks roster and played in their G League team and led them in scoring. He was a G League MVP and then, was eventually waived and picked up by Orlando. And I think they want to give him a good, 30 minutes a game like they have been this last week to see if he can play. He can shoot the 3, he can rebound. So if he gets enough minutes, he plays that power forward spot pretty much, but he's also a small forward in a sense. So I like the young guys in this game. I think you'll get a little run from Bacon and Harris and a couple of the vets. But for the most part, I think Orlando's just trying to do an evaluation period for the young guys. So again, 2v2 here, 2v3. I could have 4 or 5 guys from this game. I think it will be high scoring. I think that you'll have, teams really looking, to get good, strong looks at some of their younger guys. Minnesota's seems to be playing hard this last week. So even though they're out of it, I think my gut feeling is that they've come together and said, listen, we want to finish strong, win some games, and then take this momentum into next year. Because if you really look at this team, they're going to have a top 3 pick more than likely this year, or they'll be right up there. They have some additional picks. And then you have a D'Angelo Russell, who's under 25. You have Cat, who's still young. Edwards, who's been fantastic. A young Vanderbilt. They've got a really, really good core for the future. I mean, they could jump back in next year, especially with the high pick, and make the playoffs. So I think Minnesota this week is going to be high on my radar. I think they want to finish strong and play some of these guys together because they had been injured so much this year. So good game there, and definitely one we'll focus on. All right, game 3, the final 7 o'clock game. So we have 3 early games going off at the same time, which is nice. On a 6-game slate, we know we'll have 3 of the games lineups, and that takes a little bit of sting out in case one of these coaches tries to play a younger guy out of nowhere and get him some minutes. We'll have a little heads up there. New Orleans is on the first night of a back-to-back. They are 30-37. Their probable lineup is Ball, Bledsoe, Marshall, James Johnson, and a questionable Steven Adams. Hornets are 33-34. They're scrapping and fighting in that playoff race. Ball, Rozier, McDaniels, Washington, and Biyombo are the probables. We have Charlotte favored by 4.5, and it is a 220 over/under. As far as pace, New Orleans is 10th. And Charlotte 21st. Defense is not great, 24th and 19th. So potential here for some blow up games, slate breaker kind of games for some of these guys because of all the injuries. You've got Ingram doubtful, Nickeil Alexander-Walker could be back. He's probable. Adams questionable. We know Zion and Hart are still out. And then as far as Charlotte goes, no Cody Martin, no Bridges, no Hayward, and a questionable Graham. So they're banged up too. So, who do we go to here? Well, here's the fun part. We've got Lonzo versus LaMelo. So that will be the highlight of the day in basketball, is seeing the Ball brothers be able to go head to head. They very well could be guarding each other. So, what's the call here? Which way do you go? I like both of these guys. I mean, I really could play both of them. And it sounds, like a trap or cliche that, the brothers, blah, blah, blah. But these guys are putting up numbers. They're getting the minutes. LaMelo's minutes have increased and increased. And again, his injury was a wrist. It wasn't a lower extremity, so he can go. Lonzo had just one bad game this last week, but with Zion and Ingram down, he's picked up a lot of the slack. So let's just say this. I'm going to have some balls and take those guys as players in my lineup, pun intended there. But I have no problem putting both of them in there, and I very well may. Their price isn't great. It does sting a little bit, but I can see Lonzo wanting to prove to his little brother that he's the older brother, and you always have that. I still beat my brother in our matchups when we play anything, and I refuse to lose to him. So I'm sure Lonzo's going to have the same feeling. However, the problem is I think LaMelo's better, and I think that he could get the best of his brother here. He's certainly going to try. So it's going to be fun to watch. I can't wait for this game and that exposure. As far as the other Pelicans go, there's some value to be had. Bledsoe's picked up some of the slack. His usage numbers have gone up with all the other guys out. Najee Marshall did a fine job for me last time I played him. He was cheap, and he's again a guy that's going to get a lot of these minutes and be able to take advantage of that usage. James Johnson didn't do that great. They rotated some guys in there. Jackson Hayes had a better game. We still don't know if Steven Adams is going to play or not, which brings Hernan Gomez in to play as well. but I'm going to try to steer clear of that whole mess at the bigs with the Pelicans. I just don't feel there's a really big upside. And I think the same thing with Charlotte. I think you may see these teams both go small and it be an up and down game where like PJ Washington's playing center for Charlotte and like a Johnson or a Jackson Hayes who's pretty fast playing center for the Pelicans. I don't see it as a slow down game with Hernan Gomez, banging bodies with Biyombo inside or whatever. So I'm steering clear of that. On the Charlotte side here, though, you've got a couple of decisions also. Rozier's pretty expensive, so if I'm looking at LaMelo, not going to probably go the Rozier direction, but he certainly could have a monster game. I mean, he's been toying with good games and due for, one of those 55, 60 burgers. So Rozier, as much as, I'm not putting him in there right now, it's still in the back of my mind to utilize him. Definitely going to try him in the GPP build, but keeping an eye on him. McDaniels has been okay for the Hornets, especially since Miles Bridges has went down. Same thing with PJ Washington. They're both okay. Price could be better really on both value-wise. So not real excited there. I think most of the action goes there with the Ball brothers, Rozier, Najee Marshall, and maybe even a little Eric Bledsoe. All of those options are open. All right, we're halfway through the 3-game slate. We have an 8 o'clock and 2 10 o'clock games to finish it up. And we will be, as we always do here at Coach Talk, is we'll offer a main slate and an after hours slate for our members. And if you're not familiar with Coach Talk and you want to give us a try, it's a great time to sign up. We have multiple memberships to choose from. You can dip your toe in the water, do the 3-day pass for $10. And with Coach Talk, we don't sell sport by sport and all of that. Once you become a member, you're into the Coach Talk community. You get everything that we offer, including, full lineups in FanDuel, both hybrid lineup, which is for cash and single entries, and a GPP lineup for multi-entry GPPs. We also do the same with a hybrid for Yahoo. And then we put together DraftKings Coaches Clipboard, which gives you some players to choose from. And we highlight a core of 5 guys that we're recommending as the strongest plays, and then building your lineup around them. So, and you're in our main chat. You get all of our basketball, football, baseball, golf, the 4 main sports that we focus on and perfect. Is what you'll get with lineups, all of our content, podcasts. We also have a Saturday members only meeting where we go over some really good, important DFS subjects like contest selection and bankroll management. This coming week, we're going to talk about what we utilize to build those lineups. What reference points do we make? What sites do we go to? What information are we pulling to build those lineups? So that's every Saturday at noon Eastern. So join us, dfscoachtalk.com. If you want to check us out on Twitter, we're at DFS Coach Talk. If you have any direct questions for me on Twitter, I'm at Joe Sarvadi, JoeSarvadi. And Andrew is at Language Olympic. And again, you can reach all of our team at DFS Coach Talk. So we'd love to have you join. We do have a really exciting announcement this coming week. Andrew and I will be announcing the pretty much 2-month NBA playoff package. It's right around 2 months from beginning to end. And, we're going to go through that. We have some giveaways possibly coming. So, keep a close eye out and check us out throughout the week on our podcast. We do 7-day-a-week podcasts in the NBA. We have a weekly PGA. And then when basketball ends, we're going to go into MLB podcasts. We're providing MLB lines, but we'll have the podcast to bumper those. And then, of course, we have full coverage podcast-wise of the NFL when that rolls back around. So become a member. We've got awesome convention next year in July at the NBA Summer League 2022 for all of our Coach Talk members. We're going to be announcing all the details. We talked about it a little bit this Saturday in our meeting, so you want to be a part of that. It's great fun. All right, one last thing I want to do real quickly here before we jump into these final 3 games. I just, since it's a little shorter slate and I'm got this one alone, I want to give a shout out to the members that have recently, or maybe not so recently, some of them have upgraded to year memberships or our package that goes until November 1. There's some lengthy packages that a lot of our members that have come in, tried us out, and then, really stay with us long term. I just want to give them a quick shout out because, they're so important to us, and we really, really appreciate, what they've done for Coach Talk to make us the fastest growing, DFS provider in the industry. And it's all thanks to this particular group. We've got Lanny 5623, JP Wild, of course, our man there, Jonathan 49, Jay Marax, he's a big contest winner of ours as well, Broncos fan 001, Clint Jr., Escobar, Slim Layden, Big Broncos 73, Jet W121. We've got D Hargestone, who jumped back in with us. We have a lot of people that, come and go and check us out in stretches, and we love that as well. Deluxe, happy Mother's Day, Deluxe. Roderick, who's a big NBA guy. Beat, DMJO, I always mess that one up. Max Storm, stick with me here, I'm getting there. Show Beast. And then we've got Corey Jazz, Nathan 970, C Chatch, we love C Chatch, AA Feather 2, Leonidas, who's my Yahoo buddy. We've got Champagne X Matt, who's been doing great. All the Wave Off, we love him. He's always in our Saturday meetings and speaks up and gets us all fired up. We've got, let's see here, Kev Swee. We've got our member from France, Useful. We love having some French connection there. B. Jordan, who's been crushing it. Skylar, who's one of our more outspoken, involved members. We love him and his fiance. Pearl 23, D's D101, and I know I'm missing some guys, so please forgive me if I skip you. Trey, or known as Trey Ball 3. We got a few more. Fantasy Savage 3, Mufasa, Benji. We're getting there, almost done. Big Phil, Dirt Racer, Carlos, down the stretch here, Christian, and we've got Ross MT, Slay Dumal, who survived an earthquake the other day and has been hammering it on DFS. Dead Presidents, we love you. B-Cat is definitely one of our hot guys. It's kicking butt in DFS. We also have AJH First, and that's it. So I really appreciate all you guys letting me go through that, because those people make Coach Talk what it is. So, all right, right into the second half. We're going to go right into these games. Nothing but the 3 games here the rest of the way. The 8 o'clock game, solo by itself, Chicago Bulls 28-39 against the Detroit Pistons 20-48. Probable lineup for Chicago's White, Levine, Williams, Tyson, Vuk. For Detroit, it's Joseph. Corey Joseph really stung us yesterday. Frank Jackson, Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, and Mason Plumlee. This game has Chicago by 9, and it's only a 219 over-under. You've got fairly slow team, Chicago 14, Detroit 22, and defense average for teams that aren't good, 18 and 16. We know that Brown's out for Chicago. Detroit has Diallo, Josh Jackson, Magruder, and Smith all out. So the question is, where do you go here? And you got to tread lightly, because you can definitely get stung. Like I say, Corey Joseph did not get it done. they're splitting time. Frank Jackson, Killian Hayes, lots of rotation. Don't want to get stung 2 nights in a row, so I'm not going there. Sadiq Bey's been solid. He's a scorer for them, but definitely a drop in usage and scoring when Jeremy Grant plays. We need to see if Grant is going to play. Let's see, his updated status right now is questionable, and Corey Joseph is also now listed as questionable. So we need to watch those. If those 2 guys sit, then all of a sudden Frank Jackson, Killian Hayes, we need to discuss those guys. We may have to roll the dice on another Detroit guard today if that's the case. And if Grant sits, like I say, it does increase Sadiq Bey's usage and total DFS points. And then Mason Plumlee, who's probably going to split the game with Isaiah Stewart, and really not a need to go there. On the Chicago side, again, they'd have to win out and have a lot of things happen in front of them. Maybe this is the last game they really try, if to win, to make some kind of a difference there. Levine still capped a little bit. He's just come back recently, and he's still expensive. Kobe's been playing decent, but with Levine back, too risky. Patrick Williams, very cheap if you need a final value piece. Tice at times has decent games, but hard to really trust. Vuk's probably the play, but he's super expensive. If that's the spot you're going to go for your pay up on center, he might be the guy. But I will tell you, he was dinged up a little bit and questionable a couple days ago. So, I know they are going to try to win this to make some kind of final push this week, but I'm not feeling it. I really not. So this game is, we need some of this final news to break to see if there's a value play here, but it's going to be more of a one-off situation for me. All right, the after hours slate, 2 games. Last night it was 4 games. That was fun, man. And I was in my happy zone to have 4 after hours games to choose from. We did really well. We are going for the sweep, the basketball sweep this weekend. I better take a drink. So we're hoping to do that here in this after hours slate. All of a sudden my voice is going. Phoenix 48-19 at the Lakers 37-30. Lakers are a hot mess, as we know, and so that Phoenix is a 6-point road favorite, only 214 on the over-under. The Lakers have maintained at first in the league defense. Phoenix is 7th, and the pace is not good. Phoenix is slow, half-court team, 27th. Lakers are down to 15th. So definitely a difficult game to want to really stack. Johnson and Nader are out for Phoenix. That's Cam Johnson. And then for the Lakers, here we go. I'm not even reading their probables because they always have like 6 guys probable. But Caruso's questionable. THT's questionable. Kuzma's doubtful out. I'm pretty sure he won't play. Pope and AD, I'll mention those 2 because it's important. They're on that group that's probable. Of course, LeBron, Schroeder, and Dudley remain out. So where do you go to for hope in this game? I guess, is it Anthony Davis? Big expensive tag. Drummond, who's splitting minutes. Not a fun game. Now, as this, these different pieces of news come out, if Caruso plays, maybe he's a guy to play at point, very cheap. You have some of the wings that if they're ruled in, a Pope or a THT could have a decent game with some additional run. I don't want to spend up for Davis and Drummond. I mean, Davis had a terrific game the last game. He was questionable. Nobody used him. He was the 2nd highest scorer on the entire slate. So AD, as dinged up as he is all the time, is a possibility here. If you have that extra salary, there's not a ton of pay up lock guys. So if you want that big bomb at the end of the night, expect AD to be a good bomb, not a bad bomb, then that's a direction you could go. On the Phoenix side, Chris Paul has been very, very consistent. He gets up, when he plays the Lakers. Definitely a possibility. especially if Caruso's out, because they lose his defensive presence as well. So want to keep an eye on that. Devin Booker, expensive, but certainly a possibility for a big game. The Lakers can keep this close, which, it's only a 6-point spread. Booker's a nice candidate as well. Mikal Bridges, a little more expensive now, but he does have those games where he'll throw in a little bit of everything and fill the stat sheet. So he is a possibility. Not real high on Crowder, a lot of rotation there. He came back recently from an injury. You've got Saric and different guys splitting minutes there with Ayton. So I don't like the bigs for Phoenix at all. So, maybe a buy up to Davis or Paul or Booker. A strong piece from this game, especially for the after-hours slate, but maybe even sneaking one of these guys in the main slate. Excuse me. Last game, 10 o'clock, Oklahoma City, Sacramento. Oklahoma City's 21-47. They had 20 wins like 2 months ago. So it's been rough roads for the Thunder. Sacramento's 29-38. Probable starter OKC, Maladon, Dort, Baisley, Roby, Brown. Moses Brown did nothing the second half last night either. He was just running around out there for a few minutes, just scratching his head. Sacramento, we know that there's big news here. Fox and Barnes are listed as questionable. So that has everything to do with this game and then some. Fox has been out. Don't know if he'll be on a minutes limit. I guess they're trying to still get that last spot or finish strong, but it's not looking good for Sacramento. I'd be surprised really if those guys play, but let's keep an eye on it because it changes everything. If Fox and Barnes sit again, it brings the three guys right into play that you have to consider, and that's Hield, Bagley, and Holmes. All three of them have been playing well since they've been shorthanded, and I think you have to consider those guys under that circumstance. If the other guys play, then it's a different situation, and I'm not going to play those guys. Dort is questionable for OKC. Poku and Muscala are out, and we know Halliburton's out for Sacramento. So, Davis also for Sacramento is taking on a good role since Fox and Halliburton are out. He is playable. Kyle Guy, I'm not going to go there, but he got some decent minutes last road. I think it's the main three guys, like I mentioned, Hield, Bagley, Holmes, if Fox and Barnes sit again. On the OKC side, they're playing 12, 14 guys. I mean, it's very frustrating to watch. Massive rotation of guys in all positions. Not crazy about watching. I mean, I watched a lot of that game because I was trying to squeeze blood from a stone to try to get Moses Brown to have a big game. And he started off great in the first 3 minutes, but then that enormous rotation of guys for the Thunder, coming in and out. Now, if Dort sits, that does open up some usage. Maybe Maladon can be looked at. Darius Baisley, I think, is their best player personally. But again, the minutes are a concern. They don't really want to win for sure. And they want to look at all these different guys, the Ty Jeromes and the Dex and all these guys. So not real high on that OKC side. Sacramento is a double-digit favorite here. There is the potential for the blowout side also on Sacramento. So tread lightly in that one. All right, that is it. That's the 6-game main slate. Hopefully, with the discussion we had there about the playoffs, it'll give you an idea of what to expect this week. We'll be here every step of the way. We never stop covering the NBA here at Coach Talk. We're going to be there for every single playoff game all the way through to the end. And then we'll jump in to cover the Olympics, and we'll cover all of those games. That's a lot of fun. We did that the last Olympics, and it's great fun to get to know these international teams. And then, follow shortly after that. It won't be that long before the start of the NBA season, preseason starts again, because they're going to get back to the regular 82 games and pretty much the regular schedule from everything that I've seen. So We'll be following it throughout. We hope you stay with us. We've got a good PGA sweat today and a phenomenal amount of baseball games this afternoon. And we've got our pros building lineups as we speak. So have a great Mother's Day. Enjoy yourself. Let's crush it and finish up a complete weekend that we're calling a sweep here at DFS Coach Talk. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow with my playing partner there, Mr. Andrew Hansen, and we'll be diving into a Monday NBA slate and then getting ready for PGA this week too, the Byron Nelson down here in my neck of the woods in Dallas. So have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow when we look to crush it in DFS.